Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Mm. Boy, I hope you're having a fantastic morning. I really love just being able to come out here and kind of chill a little bit, relax and stuff like that. And just share a little bit with you and take you around to all the spots I love to go to. Today they said it's supposed to rain, so hopefully we are going to get to, go out and do a walkabout. I love doing those because I love being outside. And on top of that, I love being able to take you around and show you different places of where I live. When I first moved down here to Texas, I was kind of thinking before I got down here, hey, it's more like, cattle country, grasslands and things like that. But boy, I'll tell you what, you come down, you find out there's so many beautiful areas in Texas that are so well treated and, have all kinds of, like water areas and stuff like that. And really, really quite beautiful. So I really like going around and doing those walks and getting to show you guys like, just areas where I live and stuff like that. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that today, I'll tell you. Anyway, the articles that I was reading today, boy, I'll tell you what. First one is coming out of Jamie Dimon there. And Jamie is talking about, hey, if we see any more major quantitative tightening, we're going to watch a whole bunch more of these smaller or mid-sized banks, regional banks, literally collapse and fail. I mean, a lot of them are really just teeter-tottering right on that, precipice of being solvent or insolvent, and a lot of them are just ready to collapse. If there was a big run and you saw a lot more withdrawals from depositors, things like they'd be absolutely finished. Well, the thing that kind of gets me in a way with Jamie coming out and talking about this is, of course, JP Morgan is just, Chase has been just, kind of absorbing all of this and consolidating all of this. All these bank failures, these small and medium bank failures, have been nothing but a major, major boon for JP Morgan Chase. I mean, they've been growing. I think they're rating of like 21% in the article that I was reading, something like that. But it's a phenomenal amount. And when you think about that, guys, and let's say imagine all these bigger banks are absorbing all these small, medium, and regional banks, well, that's going to limit a whole lot of choice, when it comes to various lending products and things like that for small and medium businesses and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of like, really only gives you maybe 3 or 4 choices for banks. And think about this too. A lot of these banks, these major big banks, are all sitting on the Federal Reserve, aren't they? And so, hey, the policy in one bank practically mirrors the policy in the other banks. And so, like if you're looking for a lending product that's unique to your situation, well, hey, you might not get it in these bigger banks, and then it may not even be available anymore. And it might really put a lot of small or medium businesses out of business completely because they have no avenues. I mean, look at what happened with what was the one there, the Signature Bank. I believe it was Signature Bank. Anyway, a lot of crypto was gone through that bank. Well, a lot of these bigger banks don't want to even touch it, right? And so in a way that was a kind of an attack against the digital asset space by taking away a facility that was really assisting a lot of digital asset type businesses to do their financial transactions and things like that. And so, and look, we had Barney Frank come flat out and say, hey, look, this is what's going down. There was no insolvency event or whatever, but they took away this, and that. And of course, boom, all of a sudden the bank was collapsing, that kind of stuff. So this is really, really, really bad, in my opinion, for the economy. I mean, we want to see lots of competition because that provides lots of choice and it gives opportunity to smaller and medium businesses that have a unique type of business working and stuff like that. They have to have their operating lines accredited a particular way, all the lending that they're doing and stuff like that. And so it's really, really important. And when you see that, most of us aren't affected by it because, of course, we're not out there running these small and medium businesses, but there's a lot of people who are. And you got to really think about how this is truly impacting them. If it's going to impact them, who else is it going to impact? Well, it's going to impact their employees right off. And then it's going to impact their clientele, right? And then impact their industry. And as we know, when you start closing down a lot of these small and medium mom and pop shop type businesses, whether it's, mechanics, oil, or, kind of like oil service business or any kind of service businesses or, different type of hardware stores or whatever it is, You start taking those choices off the table. What are you left with, guys? You're left with all the big box stores. You're left with the Walmarts. You're left with the Targets. You're left with, all these other, the major ones, right? And does that limit your choice, right? And you're cutting into a big, big part of our economy that has really made America, as far as I'm concerned. These people that have had that entrepreneurial drive to go out there and maybe for 2, 3, 4 generations of a family been running a really great and successful business. And then, of course, you have all these big bankers and all the policies that they've implemented. Now we got the consequences of those. And who gets hurt? Right. It's all the small, medium businesses and all these, families that have went out there and lived that American dream. We're the ones that get hurt. And it just feels like we're being all corralled into, this area of like, a few shoots. Okay, there's this one, this one, this one. It's like that's all you got. Well, that isn't much of a choice, and that certainly doesn't represent the America that I would know or grow up with, the one that I would recognize. And I think a lot of us are out there with the same thing. We're thinking, hey, this is not what we thought of when we thought of like what America represented. Why do you think most people were trying to get to America for a long, long time there? Well, the reason for that is because the opportunity that it represented. Yeah, there's a lot of things to poo-poo about America, and a lot of people do it. And there's, the fact of the matter is, there's not a country on earth that doesn't have its flaws. But the thing is, the opportunity that America represented to the world. That you could come here with next to nothing and literally build yourself a dream and see it come to pass. Well, that's being taken away and ebbed away bit by bit by bit. And a lot of it is due to these monetary policies. This isn't some kind of happenstance like the nation caught a cold and then resulted with inflation kind of deal. No, these guys were quantitative easing like no tomorrow. And who was getting the bulk of that quantitative easing? Well, you guessed it was all the big banks. And don't think that their economists weren't aware of how this was going to impact the whole economy. And at the end of the day, when the pinch comes and they start raising the interest rates to combat the inflation that they created, well, who does it hurt? Do you think it's hurting all these big banks? Not on your life. It's hurting you and I and the small and medium businesses and the small and medium banks. And that's who's really paying the piper here. And that's what really kind of gets me on this whole thing. Now, having said that, the second article. So how Biden had got up there and said, we're not going to, support anything with the debt ceiling. We're not agreeing to any terms that, would benefit tax cheats and crypto people. Well, what he's talking about there in the article that I was reading, is, like these harvesting tax losses. Now, harvesting tax losses has been around for decades and decades and decades. And it's even utilized, when people are dealing with the traditional markets like stocks and things like that. And what it is basically is, you sell your stock or whatever at a loss, and you claim the tax hit, to defer any gains that you've had, you claim that loss. And then within 30 days, you go back out and you rebuy the assets that you sold at a loss. And this has been okay with the traditional markets and utilized in crypto. Well, now they want to take that facility away when it comes to digital assets. So stocks can have it and the traditional markets can have it, but what they want to do is take it from digital assets. And so they're lumping us in with like we're the tax cheats because we want to utilize a facility in the tax code that would help us out when it comes to our crypto gains by selling cryptos that we have at a loss and harvesting that tax loss, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, guys. What you're talking about there's two different types of the deals in this rate. There's a thing called tax avoidance, and then there's something else called tax evasion. Well, tax avoidance is completely legal. Think of your 401k or anything like that. Every time you put money away in a 401k and defer tax, well, that's a legal form of tax avoidance. And harvesting a tax loss is a legal form of tax avoidance. This is not like people going out there to cheat the tax system like what Biden is saying there and literally, have tax evasion. No, this is about taking advantage of legal remedies in the tax code to lower your taxable income. And there's absolutely Nothing wrong with that. And this is why we have to get out there. Boy, I'll tell you what, this next election, you want to be at the polls and you want to be thinking about how this is going to affect you and I in this digital asset space and who we're actually putting into office. Because a lot of these people are literally stabbing us right in the back while allowing all of these things to continue for the traditional market. And it's a two-tiered system. And that is not what we signed up for here. And so for me, I'm really kind of ticked at that when I read the article, because I've been, I was in taxes for many, many years in Canada as a tax officer there. And look, we are a self-assessing system. We do not want a system where, the government says, okay, you owe this and you owe that and da-da-da-da-da, where they assess you based on what they think. No, we're self-assessing systems where we report our income, right? And we claim our deductions, yeah, and we're able to do some of these various, facilities like harvesting tax losses and things like that to reduce our taxable income. That is the system that we kind of subscribe to and believe in, because that's what the free market. That is a free market type of tax system. Now, I know a lot of us in this space are, hate, the whole idea of taxes, but come on. We do have to pay for some level of infrastructure. But boy, when you see what they're doing with our tax dollars, it is absolutely obscene. And you really can't blame people for getting upset, because it just seems like there's no fiscal responsibility. And here we are again with a debt ceiling. Get this, a debt ceiling. So the only way to kind of resolve this whole situation before the whole thing really implodes and, there's a debt default is to get into more debt. I mean, come on. That's how they're running the country. It's just debt, 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 debt. And it's the never ever plan, right? There's no way that our grandchildren's grandchildren will be able, if we stop borrowing money right now today, it would take probably 5 or 6 generations to practically pay it off, because the interest is so astronomical. It just is mind-boggling when you think of the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of debt. And where's a lot of that debt come from, guys? Well, they just turn on the printing machine and out comes the Federal Reserve and literally creating more debt, because that's the only thing the Federal Reserve exists for, guys. You take away their ability to issue $1 of debt and they are done. They are finished. And that'll be the end of the Federal Reserve if you do that. But that's never going to happen because, hey, no matter what side you vote in there, guys, the whole system is already, look, the fuel for the engine of the economy is debt. And that's just the way it is. We're in a debt-driven economy. And so we have to kind of, accept that reality. But having said that, you know what? In a free market, don't come out there and start giving one set of, investors one set of rules and a different set of investors a different set of rules. And these ones get the benefit and these ones get crushed, because you know what that is? That's anti-free market. That's picking winners and losers. And that's what they're trying to do right now. And so that's kind of where I'm at on that kind of issue. But anyway, well, guys, I'll tell you what. I sure hope that you're having a fantastic Tuesday, and I can't wait to get out later on today, do a little walkabout, and share our great video. We got a great video planned for you later on today as well. And so until then, guys, I hope you have a fantastic one, and take care.